Hey, everybody. Welcome to LaFlamme Throwers Sports and more. And we have a really special thing for you today. It was an interview with Ricky Smith, who is a diehard Cleveland sports fan, comedian, started a charitable organization called Rake Now, which is fascinating. You know, we intended this maybe to be a little more of a talk about Browns draft and whatnot, but this is a guy that you can just talk to for hours and realize you never got to the Browns draft, and it was great. We're going to throw it over to Frog. Frog, how did you find Ricky and bring Ricky to us?
Yes, so like I shared with Ricky through conversations, but like social media, I was on Twitter and I was going through like a little bit of redefining myself career-wise, and then Ricky's like my age. We have the same sense of humor, and while I was like looking for what I was going to do next, he was doing all these great things for people, and I was like, let me do some things for people, because I at the time had like a lot of free time because I was trying to figure out like my next career move, and I was in transition. And then more and more, like, it's just with his humor, his giving, and then Northeast Ohio sensitivities, and it's like we had a lot of same interests. So that's how I got to know him, and it's been almost a decade, and to where he felt like he was like the neighbor that you grew up without actually meeting him, but we would have like social media correspondence, and that's how I got to know him. And I've been a part of and helping, well, not like doing things on my own, which Ricky will share, like doing Rake through his basically guidance on our own, which we can all do and we will watch.
Steve, what was your take as a Bengals fan? I know you have your doubts about the genuine nature of any Browns fan, and maybe even a borderline despising of any Browns fan. But I think that you came out and at least found one Browns fan you may like.
Yeah, so I've got an interesting mix of loving and hating Browns fans. All of my people that I grew up with are Browns fans, but I do despise Cleveland and talking sports. I was ready to have my fangs out, but I've got to say that it really took a turn I didn't expect. I think that you have rare times in your life where you have the opportunity to talk to somebody that just overwhelms you with how good of a human being they are. And that was my experience yesterday with Ricky. I had fun talking trash, a little bit Browns and Bengals, but I was just blown away with the conversation we were able to have with him. I did not know about him until Frog kind of filled us in on this guy's background and what he did. But frankly, I'm still blown away with how that conversation went. So I would say my dislike for Cleveland sports took a back seat because he's an absolutely phenomenal human being that I look forward to speaking with again if we're lucky enough to have the opportunity.
You know, one of the things that I was really taken with was when he talked about the meaning of sports and his family, specifically his interactions with his dad. And I think that's something that touches us all, but we don't necessarily always talk about. The second interesting thing is just how tortured Cleveland fans are. And I think, honestly, the argument can be made that they are the best sports fans in America. They don't win except for rarely. But yet they have such a passion. And I think it's like this steely will that they have because they've been forced to weather these long metaphorical winters of, not having success and tortured. And Frog, you're a Cleveland sports fan. What's your take on that?
So I'm going to answer this because I also worked as a professional, but I am a Cleveland sports fan, and I do identify as like Northeast Ohio, Ohio sensitivities. It's very subjective when you go best and worst, but I'll say one thing. When it comes to Cleveland sports, the sports identity and the city identity go hand in hand. I know a lot of other cities say that, but when Cleveland sports was on top, the city was one of the best in the United States as far as you can graduate high school and have yourself a great job. Had a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and that was during the 50s, late 40s when the Indians won in 48. Then Indians baseball was great, competing against the Yankees. The Browns were the Yankees of professional football and really put it to like a whole nother level. And then as the city was starting to go down with losing industry, losing jobs, the sports were also going down, and there's a lot of ineptitude. And those things, like, we kind of tied to us, our identity. So it's like, hey, we're on the national stage, and I know we might not be able to get these industries backward changed like how we're living, but we can maybe win a championship. And then that hope, and then when you went over, I believe the number was 52 years without a sports championship and having 3 major sports teams, it really got ingrained to a lot of, like, psychological aspects of, like, you don't feel inferior, but you always felt like, will this ever happen in our lifetime? We don't have, like, the positives that other cities have as far as, the finances, weather, all those things. So that's where I believe Cleveland and its passion makes us very unique. And it's very subjective, so I don't want to go best and worst, because a lot of people can twist arguments however they want. But I would say we were probably the most in tune with our identity in sports than maybe any other city.
So, Frog, before we have too much of a pity party for Cleveland sports, you won the NBA title in 2016, and Indians teams were very competitive in the 90s and, through today. So I'm not sure if Cleveland sports I respect everything you're saying about Cleveland, but I think there are a lot of cities out there that we can talk about that haven't won titles in a long time, how it impacts morale and things along those lines. Respect everything you're saying, but I do want to take us away from going, too hard on the woe is Cleveland, the world's polling for their sports teams, etc., because it's not accurate. Congrats. LeBron got you a title in 2016, and your Indians teams were really competitive. So I don't want to make this too much of a melodrama about why everybody should be rooting for Cleveland, because while you guys haven't won many titles, a lot of cities haven't. So I respect what you're saying about the steeliness, but, come on, man. Let's put the box of tissues away. Cleveland doesn't deserve all this pity when it comes to athletics.
Yeah,
I'm happy for it. Oh,
go ahead, Frog.
I was just going to say, I'm happy for any other city to take over Cleveland's pity. So let's get a Brown championship. Let's find a way that the Cavs can build a franchise that isn't the native son of LeBron. And let's see if the Indians can finish a World Series. I don't want the pity trophy. I'm actually happy to hand it down to our neighbors in 71 South. You guys are more deserving of it now. So, yeah, you take the pity trophy. You can have it, Cincinnati.
I think
give us
Steve's making a solid case for Cincinnati being the most pitiful sports city in America. So, Steve, that's a strong case, my friend.
No, not at all. The only point I'm making is that Cleveland sports fans love talking about all the pity they deserve and how tough it is. You don't hear Cincinnati sports fans constantly asking for everybody's pity. So the only point I'm making is that, Cincinnati won its World Series title in 90. The Bengals have been to 2 Super Bowls. We've had very competitive teams with the exception of a few-year stretch recently with the Bengals. So my point isn't that Cincinnati wants the pity. My point is that a lot of people are sick of Cleveland talking about how they deserve the pity.
Wow, I think we could get an entire debate on this. But anyway, I want to diffuse this situation, and we're going to roll the interview we did yesterday with Ricky Smith, a fantastic guy. Check out his website, rakenow.org. We're going to link that down below. Also, check out his Twitter, which we'll link down below. A great person, fantastic, fun sports fan. Enjoy.
I don't know how you guys normally start. Let's just start with me talking, because I want to tell another story about – are we recording?
We are recording, Ricky. Go with it.
Okay. So you guys can do the intro and all that stuff, whatever. We started in places probably went conventional. We just talking about sports and loyalty. I'm a huge Browns fan, fanatic, Cavs, Indians, et cetera, et cetera. But I moved to San Diego. Now, we could go backwards and do the intro, but I just got excited because I moved to San Diego, and I'm there, and I'm talking smack about the Browns. We're on the Browns backers bar, and I'm talking smack to these Chargers fans, and they go, we don't play for the team, bro. Like, it's not that serious. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, no, like, let's argue. And for me, it's like I lived in Atlanta, went to college at Morehouse. Atlanta's the same way as a transit city. So for me, I'm used to just rah, rah, rah. Like you just said, you're a Bengals hater. I mean, you're a Browns hater because you love the Bengals. Like, and I'm like, well, what's up? Like, Ickey Woods was overrated. Like, the dance wasn't even that great of a dance he used to do. Like,
well, man, look, I understand what jealousy can do to a human being, and I can imagine how tough that would have been for you as a Browns fan. We remember those days, Ricky. Hey, man, that was Bernie versus Boomer. We both
it was.
But I can imagine how much it hurt to see Ickey take us to the Super Bowl as a rookie, and I forgive you for that statement, man. I really do.
And then after that rookie season, he took you guys.
Yeah, so after that, a few years later, he was selling meat out of a truck, man. But that doesn't matter. We're talking about 1988-89. But I will say, I'll say with your point, that's so legit, man. And for anyone that just jumped on, we were talking about this before we started recording. But Ricky, your point about sports being something you're born into, and I had that same conversation with my son unsuccessfully because he's a Seahawks fan, but he's never going to get it, right? Because if you're born into your team. And as a Browns and Bengals fan, maybe that's a blessing, man, because when we do win that Super Bowl, it's going to mean so much more to our fans. And
man, I tell you this, man, my dad genuinely, I have a great mom, but my dad genuinely is my best friend. And I can literally tell you every moment that I've had that I'm close to my dad with is all around sports, whether it be the shot, whether it be the drive, whether it be the fumble. Those are all bad. But also LeBron getting drafted, LeBron, the Cavs winning it all. Like, I literally shared that moment. Me and my dad cried. Like, even LeBron getting drafted and going down to Richfield, and even Boomer Esiason, and even, you know, Don Beebe winning the Bills and the 4 Super Bowls in a row, and like, you name it, literally all of my sports memories are with my dad. So for me, it's a loyalty factor that at the end of the day, like, it's almost like I would be letting my dad down, but also my city. Because at the end of the day, these guys, and there's a little change now, and I'm not, you know, get on my lawn guy, but we grew up when the guys that wore the name, they represented us. Like, they represented the city. They still do. It's a pride. It's a pride. Even when they're bad, it's knowing that it's grit. We're Midwest people. It sounds like we all are Midwest on this podcast. So it's like, I'm gonna sound backwards, but I'm gonna mean it from the bottom of my heart. We really don't have much besides sports. You know, in California, they have great weather. Miami have this and that. Like, we're sports first. We're the butt of a lot of jokes and this and that, and da. People think that we're close to Montana, and people think we have nothing but potatoes and whatever. But it's like, we have sports, and it means a lot that we grew up with it. We know high school. We know our stuff. We can talk smack and go with the best of them, but we know our sports, and we also know what goes with that. It's I mean, for me, it hurts a little bit with schools and stuff now, because when they took sports to me out of schools, a lot of them, when the kids having to pay, to me, those are the things they taught you how to be on time. It taught you how to lose. That's, people take that one for granted. The ability to lose, man, every time I would lose, my dad would literally make me go out and we would practice. His line that we hate is, how do you learn things? You try. And it came from me just learning that I'm not going to lose again. That guy got me, but I'm going to figure it out. But those are things that is being a clean uniform. It's knowing your rank and being realistic. Okay, maybe I'm not the cleanup hitter. I'm the 8th, but I'm going to figure this out. It's camaraderie with your friends. It's learning to a coach. It's these things, man. I don't want to sound crazy, but for me, I have a group chat, like we saw before it started. I have a group chat with 9 of my friends. We all grew up together, different places. Some are doctors, FBI agents, writers, whatever. And we grew up lower middle class. But we literally, and I don't know how we did it, we were all in the same baseball team. All in the same baseball team. We're all good friends to this day. It was almost like the Sandlot. Yeah. And we had great coaches, great dads. But it's for me, sports, and not to, whatever, I'm talking too much. But that's why I'm miserable right now. Like, I'm an introvert, extrovert, true comedian. I don't need people. I'm not missing groups of people. I'm not missing small talk, but I'm missing the hell out of sports.
Yeah.
Ricky, do you think something's changing now with AAU, Instagram, all of the Twitter, all of that instant fame that people get and the distractions compared to what it used to be?
People want the instant, man. I mean, you just gave me the loaded question as a simple yes. But yeah, they don't, the hard work, even just everything we do, even just us day to day as men, as fathers, as entrepreneurs, as whatever we are, is people don't see the hard work. I joke a lot of times, man. It's almost funny, the comedian in me, like with the rake and ran out of kindness everywhere, my nonprofit. I like to show the yin and yang. I like to show people what I've been through. I like to show the bad with the good. And it's funny because when I show the bad, people go, well, I'm going to pray for you. Like this girl the other day goes, I know you're dealing with demons. I'm going, no. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I just like to sometimes show that things aren't always roses. Like, it's okay to have bad days. Like, let's not all just post, these whatever. But you're right. You only see the Sports Center highlights, not only just for sports, but our lives. Mm-hmm. And it's depressing because now you're competing against an ideal version of somebody you don't even know. How can you ever compete with that? You can never compete with somebody who, just got a new BMW. Well, maybe your daughter or kid just, had cancer. Like, it's so now you're feeling inadequate and you're always competing and you'll never win because you know yourself. Or the flip side, maybe you're trying to compete on social media and now you're not true to yourself. So it just gets us all convoluted and whatever. But at the end of the day, to go back to your original question, John, is the real still shines through with everything. You still can see the genuine, even with Twitter, Instagram, you still can see the LeBron Jameses of the world who still works his behind off. And whether he shows it and he's a little showboaty, I know Cleveland, but you still know the love he has for his family or the work ethic. You still can see the people who you can go to the gym early as a sports fan. You know who's doing the outs and the studying the playbooks, and it still shines through.
I'm watching the Last Dance, and the amazing thing about the Last Dance is that you see these guys, they all had to fight for it. Michael Jordan didn't make his team as a sophomore. Scottie Pippen was an equipment manager. Dennis Rodman going to, northeastern Oklahoma or wherever he went to. You just don't see that kind of – and those guys weren't playing 15 AAU games a weekend where you get accustomed to losing. I lost a game. I had 3 more today. And, I scored 35, so that's what matters. I just wonder if you lose something in that environment.
No, yeah. I mean, I think only with that, though, it's just more specialized. And what I mean by that is I think instead of it would be more refreshing to see kids do baseball, basketball, football, or soccer, or what we used to do. But I do think the kids – I have a nephew who wants to play basketball. He's in the 4th grade. And they're already saying that he needs to be playing AAU. Like at 4th grade, like how would he? It's sad, but he has to pick now. Like he has to be on the travel team and da-da-da. But I think the dedication that you're saying, even the kids, I just did a camp in Ohio and it had some of the best kids on the planet there. But those kids still worked. So I will cut some slack in the fact that they're just doing specialized. And it is sad for their psyche. They have to be ranked. They have to pay to go to these camps and to travel. But I would like to say I truly still believe that talent always wins, whether it's uncultivated, whether it's even with music, even with comedy, even with the writing. I really do believe now with social media, the flip of it is, like myself being a writer, I would have never become a writer if it wasn't for social media. The days of going to LA with a script and knocking on doors and maybe people aren't as talented, no, but maybe it is those people that maybe they have an Instagram page or they, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a yin and a yang. It kind of works on both sides. Podcasts or whether it be, it's everybody's trying to do whatever, but I think the cream still rises to the top.
So, Ricky, let me bring this back to Northeast Ohio. I forwarded you this question.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to invite your dad, which is very unfair. But let's say the Cleveland Browns, it's unfair, but this is a little bit, we're having fun. Okay, so the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl. They give you 4 after-party tickets. So, like when I was with the Chicago Bears, we got after-party tickets to bring people to our victory celebration, which that was not fun because we lost. Even though Common performed in front of us, they had all the booze and food that you can imagine. But let's say Browns win the Super Bowl. Here you go, Ricky. You can bring 3 Cleveland celebrities. So it has to be Cleveland celebrities. I can name my 3, but
well, you're going with Browns, right? That's your team.
What I'm yes. Like so, the Browns.
Okay, hold on.
So my dream was to always work for the Browns, and I had it in my mind for decades. If the Browns win the Super Bowl, here's all the celebrities I want to invite. And, he's no longer with us, but like Gerald Levert was like the first on my list and a whole bunch of others. But like for right now, let's pretend the Browns give me 4 total, 3. I have to bring 3 Cleveland celebrities. My 3 are Drew Carey, Arsenio Hall, and Drew Carey, Arsenio Hall, and Steve Harvey. Who would be like three Cleveland celebrities?
I'm not mad. Let me answer your question, John. What's your football team? The Colts.
Indianapolis Colts.
So I'm not gonna. You're out of this. I'm gonna ask the Steve and Frog on this one. Just wait. I'm gonna answer your question, Frog, but just Bengals, Browns, whatever, win the Super Bowl. Would you rather be in Cincinnati or Cleveland, respectively, or at the Super Bowl?
No, man, that's easy. I want to be in my city. I think being at the Super Bowl, Frog, I'm not trying to hate on you here, but no, I think that would mean much more being in your city with your people, experiencing that atmosphere. I mean, the Super Bowl's got to be a lot of show, right? It's not like you're at a home Browns game, home Bengals game, around all your fans. That's my answer. That's a great question, but I've thought about that.
If I'm working for the team,
I want to be at the game.
No, you're just a fan. You're just a fan, Frog.
Yeah, for me as a fan, all right, for NFL, because Cleveland would be freezing, I would like to be at the Super Bowl venue because I have those, let's say, magic tickets. But for the Cavs and the Indians, I would much rather be in Cleveland because I was there when the Cavs won the championship, and it was the most euphoric night of my life. And then I was down in Cleveland for so it was my birthday when they played Game 6, and I went down there to celebrate, and I was going to call off work the next day. And they got smoked early. Like we were driving home, I think, by like the 5th or 6th inning.
Yeah.
So football, I would like to be at the venue.
Yeah.
But for the other two, I want to be in Cleveland.
So my celebrity, I'm actually on the fence, to be under the river with you guys. Because I did experience the championship in Cleveland. Like I was there, even though it was an away game. But I just Travis Kelce and Cam Urban are actually really good friends of mine. So I actually went to hang out with them in Miami for the Super Bowl, which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland celeb. You know what? I'm doing.
You can make it very inside Cleveland. You can go like Leon Bibb or Robin Svoboda or Denise DeFalla.
Do I have to take people with me? I'm like, is nobody?
You're taking them to the party. You're just taking them to the party.
No, because here's my thing, and I'm being 100%. I'm trying to be difficult. I'm getting drunk, and I don't want to I'm just on the bar. My shirt is off, like I'm J.R. Smith in it. So I don't even know. Like I'm trying to think of MGK, of course. Machine Gun Kelly would be one. That was a friend of mine. But I'm trying to think of wild. Like we don't really have wild celebs.
So Ricky, you were just at this Super Bowl down in Miami. Let me ask you, what was the one thing you envisioned it to be like that it was totally different than what you envisioned being there?
I think that the fan experience, meaning that the teams are there, it's gone because it's so expensive and it's so corporate. Like you guys just said, with like with baseball and basketball, you're at the cities. You know what I mean? Like it's even if you can't afford to get the ticket, everybody around it is you're in that city. Whether it's Game 7, you get swept, whatever. Even when the Cubs, I went to Game 7 for the Indians, still the best game ever in my life, even though we lost. Hands down, best sporting event in my life. But it still was that fun. We're congratulating the Cubs fans. They're congratulating us. We're in a neutral city. So you have Miami, you have the fake breasts, you got the fake boobs, you got the rich guys, you got the sponsors. So even then, it was like we would wear, like I was wearing a Chiefs hat because of my friends. But even then, it was like that back, like the true Chiefs fans, I'm sure, weren't there. 49ers economically probably had more money, so they had more fans there. But that's the element that I wanted some more, like, yeah, get them there. You know, you go, we watched it at a restaurant. It was like high end, and it was direct TV, and it was foofy appetizers. And afterwards, went to a club, and it was $20,000 minimum for a table. Mind you, it's the Super Bowl. Is a place called Live in Miami. But that's the element that like you said, we're all Midwest here. That's the element that. And I know they can't do it because it's Cleveland and it's cities that, you know, they would never do the Super Bowl at a home game, whatever. But to me, that's the element that I thought, just being, again, a homer for my city, like it's very rare. I didn't see many Kansas City people.
Yeah, I got to say, when I was with the Bears, and the Bears fan base is like there's a ton of them. They're all over the place, and a lot of them have money, and it's their first time going. And I walked around the stadium before the game, so I had to sit in regular seats as a fan, which felt odd, but oh well. I'm experiencing the Super Bowl. I come from nothing, so like this was, I got the seatbelt on, and I'm even seeing Bill Polian having to sit in this Suedo box that we created for him. I was like, well, he's a hell of a lot more important than me, so I need to get over myself. But there weren't like a lot of like face painting avid Bears fans, and that was a little off-putting to where I was like, the NFC Championship game experience was so much better than the Super Bowl. But the after party, I gotta admit, if we would have won, I have no idea what that would have been like, our private after party, because it's like we had Common there, grew up a big Common fan, and anything you could imagine. But instead, it was just an odd like.
Frog, you grew up around black people, huh?
I did.
They got a little Gerald Levert Common. These are like not traditional. With all due respect, these aren't traditional names that the common white person would know. So I'm like, all right, he's just throwing these around just willy nilly here. Actually, I'm gonna go with Steve on that one. Then I changed my mind because I've been going back and forth to this for like years, but that's gonna be my answer now. That I would rather be in Cleveland with face painting, yelling, screaming, looting, whatever we're gonna do, with fellow Clevelanders. Yeah, so because like you said, like I got to hang out with the Chiefs, and I got to roll Cam Irvin. Like I said, when he's with the Browns, he doesn't have many family and friends. We're close, so I got to be in that inner circle. But even then, it was like, like he was hanging out with people that was from Miami, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't to the parade. The parades when you go home. And even then, we did something where I was at the airport and I FaceTimed. I just happened to walk by a plane that was boarding to Kansas City, and I FaceTimed the fans. Like, Cam's on the phone, and they were yelling and screaming like, "Yeah!" And he hyped them up. But even then, it was 200 people on that plane. So yeah, I'm not a huge college guy just because of Cleveland. Like I represent Ohio State, and I wouldn't openly say that I represent and I love Ohio State. But I would imagine. What the football championship is a little different, correct? Because I'm thinking it's a bigger fan base.
So unfortunately, when I was at Ohio State, we played in the Fiesta Bowl, but it wasn't for the national championship, and it was different. It was different,
right.
But yeah, it is better at your home place. Like beating Michigan at Michigan or beating Michigan at home is a lot better than when you win a random game in some city, but it also wasn't the national championship.
Right.
So I can't imagine what that feeling's like. I've been a runner-up 3 different times in my life, Rick. So I don't know that.
It's you then. It's you. It's you.
Yeah, but I've also been a big-time loser a lot more than I've been a part of a season where we only had 3 wins.
That's the loyalty behind it. And that's the like I think it was Steve that said, it's when it finally does happen. And even if it doesn't, even in the misery, to be honest with you, it's still something there of every Sunday morning waking up, tailgating, putting on your jersey, putting on your ritual. Whether you're going to a game or not, you're getting your pizza, you're getting your wings, your beer, and it's like that Monday, that heartache of knowing that you can't listen to ESPN. You're not turning on local radio because you're so distraught. You don't want to go to Giant Eagle or the grocery store. But you know that 200, 300, 400, 500, 1 million people are all with you. They're all like, I say, man, at a sporting event, forget race, forget religion, forget whatever. At that moment, at that tense moment, when there's a timeout and you're down by whatever, you're all in that together, man. And that's, again, it's that camaraderie. You just don't get to me in any other aspect. You don't.
So, Ricky, let me ask you, would you rather have a team that is 1-15 and you know where you're going from the get-go, you know you're going to get a great pick, or a team like this year that just kind of drags you along, but you kind of have this feeling and you're out of the playoffs with a couple of weeks to go? Which team do you prefer?
We love the draft, Ricky. Cleveland loves the draft.
This one, because that 1-15 is I had season tickets for 2 of those years.
Yeah, man, that I hate that question, Kitch, because at the end of the day, and I think that goes along with being a Midwest sports fan. I'm with Herm Edwards, man. You play to win the game, right? And the only perk of going 1-15 is getting that draft pick. We obviously enjoyed that with our 2-14 in Burrow.
Steve, here's the only thing. Listen, as a Colts fan, we're so rarely in that position. I have to lean on you guys to figure out.
Yeah. Hey, enjoy
what that feels like.
And, the 2 or 3 games you get before he throws his back out.
How's your baseball team in
Oh,
you got that minor league team, right?
All right.
It's got a great stadium. It's got a great stadium.
Yeah. Ricky, I do have a question for you. Yeah. So first of all, I was going to ask how you've been keeping yourself busy with sports, and I know that you had tweeted you watched Game 7 of the NBA Finals a few nights ago, and I kind of have 2 questions for you. Number one, is it true that you don't get hangovers? Because if that's the case, with all due respect, you're kind of the Barry Bonds of baseball, man. I've got to question your partying skills because you're juicing. If you don't have to fight the hangover the next day, then you can go hard and not have to say anything.
That's the truthful, honest answer. I probably had less than 5 hangovers in my life. Now, I will say this, and I know we have a doctor here. I will stay drunk for a week, like without drinking more. I will wake up and still be gone. Like, I guess a different version of a hangover. But like for Mardi Gras or whatever, I will wake up without drinking and still be like, whoa. But no, I drink a lot of water. Before I go to bed, I actually put 2 bottles of water in my bed before I go out. Yeah. But I don't know the science behind it, but I have been blessed. And it's a gift and a curse because I've slowed down now, but literally the way you guys know me is because I got famous on Twitter from being drunk as Rick, but literally Serena Williams to Common to all these people would just want to drink with me, the Castle Workaholics, because they're like, I can't believe this guy drinks as much. We would go out drinking. I would do 2 shots of 151 out the gate. People would be like, oh, you won. And then, yeah, no, I can drink. I don't want to show you. I just literally come from the liquor store now. I just had started drinking now by myself because I'm a social drinker. But no, I could out drink anybody. But your other question is how am I staying busy? So it's gonna sound very cheesy. I am trying to become a better. Like it matters. I sound crazy. I'm trying to become a better sports fan for my teams. So what I've been doing is I've been literally watching all my Indians games, all my Cavs games, all my Browns games, really dissecting the players, where they came from, their backstories. Like, mind you, I don't have to. I'm not a scout. I'm not wrong. But I'm purposely, I want to be able to know all of the ins and outs of the players, who missed this block, who missed this tackle, like time that I just never had before. I have the time to go rewatch a meaningless, Bengals Browns game and see, okay, that guard does this or that guy does this or his stats. Because for me, I'm always on the go. I'm always whatever. And even then I'm always doing a million things, but I've never get to, even when I go to the games, which football is weird. I like camaraderie, but it's hard to see the X and O's and who did this and who's, what running back. So for me, I know it sounds crazy, but even I'm doing it with music too. I pick an artist a day. I pick one artist a day and I listen to their catalog. And it's just for me, again, we could do this post-quarantine, but it's just things that are helping me refocus and relearn things. Like I picked up DJ equipment. I DJ an hour a day and I got decent. I bought a harmonica. I'm learning Spanish an hour a day. I bought a big map of the globe and I never really knew geography well. So for me, I'm literally, it sounds funny, but it's almost like I'm back in 5th grade because every day I'm cooking. I'm taking cooking class on my own. I cooked well before, but it's like every day I'm just doing this structured thing that I've never got to do. And those are things for me that's, I'm like, those Rocky sequences at the end before the big fight. And he's like, that's literally been me during this quarantine where I'm coming out of this thing like, I'm juicing now. Well, not Barry Bonds juicing, but smoothies. I'm learning what I like and different things like that. So for me, I probably can go until September, to be honest with you. Like, I am fine. I miss my mom and dad, physically touching them. The weather's been terrible in Cleveland. I think we hit 70 once. But as far as like the small talk and the going to a bar and having to act like I know these people, I like these people, I don't miss that at all.
Yeah.
So Ricky, let me jump in. So a little bit of the podcast, how this has come about, is the doctor mentioned, is a little bit of me sharing stories. But I thought of it like, if you have the will, you can be taught the skill. Let's get some fans on to talk. But at the same time, as far as like the talent evaluation or learning football or learning, in your case, cooking or another language, if you have that will and you want to do it, you can easily know football to where, who's to say that and you have a lot of interest, so you might not want to do it for a living, but you can speak it and articulate it and break it down like you can as if you had been in it as a lifer. And that's what this podcast is about, is like getting some people on to talk about their squad. And they're going to have takes that are going to be awesome and just as good as the professionals, as I still keep my thumb and talking with a lot of people that are still working in the game. So I just want to share with you, like, you have that will. And, Steve, we had somebody on by the name of Martin where like, hey, he uses more than 10% of his brain. You'd be shocked. And hearing you talk and getting to know all your interests, you seem to be one of those types too, that you use more than 10% of your brain. If you have the will, you have a bunch of friends. You have the will, but you could do this.
I don't think I have much up here left. But no, it's just I was raised that way. Like as a kid, and I know I keep representing my dad, but we literally, it was 2 words, and I'm not making this up. They were bad words in our house. You couldn't say you were bored, like the word, Dad, I'm bored. We would have to go, all right, come on, get in the car. I have 2 older sisters. My middle sister always like, hey, I'm bored. Oh, come on. Oh, why she have to say that? I don't want to. And we couldn't say fair. We couldn't literally say the word fair. My dad's line was, life isn't fair. Shut up, deal with it. And during this quarantine time, we're all going through something. And we all go through stuff anyway. That's always my thing with my non. We're all going. But even now, this is probably the only time that I know that literally I know the world is literally all this together. And some people have worse situations. Some people have better situations. And mind you, it's okay not to be okay. But for me, my mind state is, okay, I'm a writer. We're not working. I have a nonprofit. We're not doing that. I host events. I lost all of my income. Okay, now what? For me, it's like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. I'm blessed in the sense that I get paid unconventional. So sometimes I get paid. Sometimes I go months without getting paid. So I've always lived in a rainy day situation. But for me, though, it's like, okay, I can wake up every day and drink, or wake up every day at 2 p.m. and eat bad and whatever. But it's like, you know what? I will never have, you know what? Let me go backwards. There's a guy named Guy Torrey, which, Frog, I know you know because clearly you're engulfed in African-American culture. There's a guy named Guy Torrey, who's a pretty big comedian. And he called me one day, a good friend of mine. He called me, goes, Rick, what are you working on? It's during the quarantine. I go, I'm going to get everything ready for when it's over. He goes, nah, it's too late. I go, what do you mean? He goes, when the quarantine's over, it's going to be too late. You have to be, he goes, Will Smith and you right now are working on the same project. I go, what do you mean? He goes, he's not working. He goes, every exec is at home. Every writer's at home. Everybody's at home. He goes, this is the time where you can call an exec and they're there. This is a time where you can work on the script and you can work on it. He goes, there's no other time when everybody's in the same playing field. He goes, if you wait till this thing is over, they already got you. And since he did that, it kind of just changed my narrative of, he's right. Mind you, I still relax. It's okay not to every day just go all in, but he's right. So for me, it was like, you know what? I want to pitch this show, and we just pitched a show last week with a network that it usually takes a year. We got a call back within an hour because these execs are home. Not only they're home, they need sorry, somebody's calling, but they need content. Mm-hmm. So it was like, all right, they're like, what else you got, Rick? Well, I got this. So for me, it was like, let's just change this narrative. Mind you, I'm blessed, and I know people have mental illness. I know people are, have family members, and they have to pay for this and that, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a single man with no kids. So for me, it's like, I can eat peanut butter jelly all day, every day if I need to. Mm-hmm. Or I have the ability to do these things, so I have no excuses. But that goes with I can't be bored, and life isn't fair.
And Ricky, I've got to say, and I know that you have not showed any interest in doing this, and I'm not saying this just to pump you up, but I do want to mention for anybody watching our podcast, I want to tell them about Rake, because we talked before about the fact that Frog has been follow of yours for years, and has really talked about, you know, how entertaining and great you are, et cetera. I really was able to dig in when he was talking about you last week. And I've got to say, your story, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I have very strong opinions about the fact that, you know, life gets tough for all of us. And I think that, frankly, mental illness, our society is so far behind the curve on how we treat what the vast majority of human beings have to deal with from one degree to the other, and that's mental illness. I'll give some love to your Cleveland guy. I think Kevin Love, I was impressed with him taking that head on this past basketball season. But your story about being down and out in LA and being broke and staying on friends' couches, being homeless, having $20 left to your name, and as a middle finger to the universe, I think was the way you put it.
Yeah.
You decided to spend it on pizza and give it to homeless people. And man, I want to thank you on behalf of everybody. And again, for anyone listening to our podcast, you've got to check out Rake. And I encourage you to donate to Rake. Random acts of kindness everywhere. You talk about ways to really make a difference to improve people's lives and try to create the culture that we should all be striving for. Man, I applaud you for that, because we all go through a lot of trouble, and your story, frankly, is inspirational.
No, thank you. No, I mean that. Thank you. I mean, it doesn't. I can't take credit because, like you said, mine came out of FU to the universe, but consistently, man, and it, like you said, with the mental health part, I have a friend who deals with the things, and I literally told her, I go, you know, if your leg was broke, you would go to the hospital. If you had a bone coming out of your arm, you would go to the hospital. And we don't think of that way if we're not right in our head, we need to get help. Mm-hmm. You know, we only think of pain, and I have a really good friend, and she battles with it. And she beats herself up for needing help. And I go, no, because if you are short, that's your narrative. That's who you are. Okay, you're short. You do certain things because of that. And we deal with that with so many things as a board, being African American, being a woman, being, you know, a Bengals fan, whatever. That's just you have to make do with it. But a lot of times with mental, we think of it as a shortcoming. Oh, I need to deal with that. And it's like, no, like, it's nothing wrong with, you know, saying you're not okay. There's nothing wrong with getting help. I see a psychiatrist now who, thank God, is my best friend, because I don't think I could afford him if I had to keep paying for him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, mine came out of a situation I didn't even know what I was doing, because I say this, man, even during the quarantine, I'm still doing stuff, and I'm still in the front lines. I'm helping people. But for me, it can even be from a selfish standpoint, in the fact that only way I know how to not stress and worry and whatever is by helping others. And it makes yourself creates a purpose for yourself. That even with nothing, I can be down and out. I might only have $2, or I can still smile. I can still make a laugh. I can still tell a knock-knock joke. That, to me, gives you hope that, yeah, no matter how bad it is, you still have ability to help others. And for me, and I know there's books and whatever, but I just stumbled on it. Like, I would love to say whatever, but it truly was like, you know what? I have 20 months left in my name. I'm out. But I didn't realize at that moment, me eating pizza with a homeless person, I was like, wow, like, at this moment, I just made this lady laugh. I just got silly with this person. There's whatever. And with social media, we're saying people beat it up. But it's like, well, we were raised, we're about the same age. I'm a lot younger than you guys. But when you do good, you don't talk about it. You don't share it. 4-H club, we have Boys and Girls Club. We just do good. You might get a little pan pizza when you read, you know, Pizza Hut back in the day. But my thing is, if we're taking all these selfies and me, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, if I have it, whatever, me, Venmo, TikTok, what all these things are, why not show yourself doing good if it motivates and inspires others to do good? And when I first kind of did it, maybe 10%, not a lot, but I would get a lot of backlash. Like, how cool to be if this guy just did this, but didn't tell anybody about it. And I have a funny mentor. He goes, well, Jesus, they had a whole book written about him. I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but it's changed. Like, why wait till someone gets on Ellen? Why wait to see the news is so down and out? Usually it's our athletes that we love is doing some good and it gets posted, or it's something, but why not be your own hero? Why not motivate and inspire your friends? We do things once a year. We actually compete on Kindness Day, who can do the most kind things. And it motivates and inspires other people. And I tell people, I had a guy one time, he says, well, what about, I know this guy does all this good stuff, but he brags. And I know for a fact he's doing it just to get publicity. I go, but if the good he's doing is benefiting others, who cares? That's between him and his heart and his end game. If he's doing good and he's buying pizzas for moms and he's doing this and that and whatever, okay. Like, it was a guy that's on my social media feed was going in on Kevin Love. He says, Kevin Love, when he donated $100,000 to the workers that were not working because of the NBA season, he goes, well, that's like 0.1% of his salary. Okay. Like, who cares? Like, that's kudos. Like, we get so fixed on this sideline to me mentality. I blame it on, I'm going on a tangent, I blame it on reality shows. I do. I blame it on real world. The first, it's a long story, and I'll tell you guys later. But I believe it took the aspect that everybody has to root, cheer, and have an opinion on everything. Whether you know about it, whether you don't know about it, whether you agree. Just give me an opinion, then I'm going next thing out. Like, it's okay to just sit on the sidelines. I tweeted one time, I don't know the mating habits of, deer in Alabama. I won't ever say I know the mating habits of deer in Alabama, so I won't really tell you about my thoughts on the dating habits or mating habits or deer in Alabama. And that's okay.
Well, Ricky, I'll tell you, first of all, I know about that. That's SEC country. And them deer are faster and stronger than Big Ten deer. And you should take those deer every time if you get a chance.
How do those deer make it in the pros, though?
As defensive backs and safeties, okay. Wide receivers, all right. But if you need a deer in the trenches, you're better off to go with the Big Ten elk, because they are just much more burly and whatnot. Hey, Ricky, so
little did he know he was going to stumble upon your area of expertise, Kitch.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, is it easier to do rake in an environment like this when so many people need kindness? It's almost like desperation out there, but yet there's the social distancing aspect, or is it easier to do it back in the old days before coronavirus?
That's a great question. For me personally, because rake for me, like we've did 200,000 bottles of water to Flint. I've done, hurricane relief. Like, for me, it's almost super, like, it's fun to put my mask on and go, oh, I'm going to go help and da-da. Like, for me, that element of to show people that keep going. Like, keep going. Yeah, it makes it easier. Like, for me, it's even joking because people will hit me up and go, oh, how can I help? You can help on your own. Like, whatever I'm doing, just take the model and go. I might be the only nonprofit founder that's like, you don't even have to donate to me. Like, if you see me make 100 lunches, get motivated, you gonna make 100 lunches. Like, just do some. I tell you, man, my go-to comment is always, I didn't start Rake to help people. I started Rake to motivate and inspire people to want to help people. And to me, that philosophy is almost like the teach a man a fish versus give him a fish. If I go hand out 100 lunches, and let's just say this, I don't tell anybody, right? And I do it every day, which I've been doing. Cool. But if I do it and 5 people in 5 cities go, ooh, let me go do it. To me, that's literally why I started Rake. Like, for me, I don't want the praise. I don't want the whatever. I like when somebody goes, you know what, I was inspired by you and I did this. That for me, honest to God, is that brings a tear, man. It's not even 100 people doing it. It ain't 1,000 people doing it. It's literally every single time one person writes me, texts me, emails me that. It because I know when I started this, where I was mentally. I know where I was. So as a guy who's living on the couch, giving up, if he inspired somebody in Milwaukee 6 years later to go be a better person, that even now, like I'm getting, emotional now because that's I never in a million years. Like I said, I have a McDonald's commercial, even talking to you guys, this is great and whatever. But for me, it's somebody saying, hey, I did something to think of others, to try to be better because of you giving a middle finger indirectly to the universe and giving pizza to a homeless person.
So, Ricky, we can each do our own part on our own, and that's such a great analogy, like teach a person to fish. But we want to give because you've done so much to you. And for me, it means a lot because I'm no longer living in Cleveland. I'm living in Columbus, to where I can put money into your account towards those lunches. And the other thing is, with that, your birthday's tomorrow, right?
Birthday is on Sunday. My birthday is Sunday.
Sunday. All right. So not only can we maybe put a little something towards all the help that you do for others, maybe we can find a way post conference to buy you your first drink.
I would only accept that if you guys cheers the same drink.
I'm in.
He's better.
I'm in, but I'm a little nervous when you say you start off with 151.
Hey, not a problem, man. We can deal with it. We'll just have to deal with the hangovers that you don't.
No, well, kids, tell them it's about liquid. It's about literally drinking water. Tell them. I don't want to get a cheat code.
It's the hydration, but there's some genetics to it too. So the alcohol dehydrogenase plays a role. Ricky, back to Rake for just one more second. Everybody has the capability of doing these things. It can be very simple, like just like you said, smiling at someone. What do you think holds people back from doing that? And what can you tell them that will just be that one little thing that says, hey, you know what, that last 10% that keeps them from wanting to do it, they just do it?
Not to sound cheesy, you just said it. Just get out the way. Just do it. But I tell people, man, I speak to a lot of schools, but do it within your talent. Do it within your comfort level. I speak to a lot of kids. If you're good at music, if you're good at sports, if you're good at bowling, if you're good at making pizzas, do it. Don't think grandiose. People think so big. Or I got to be Kardashians. I got to help 1,000 people. I got to help 200 people. No. A lot of times, man, I see, and it's going to sound really bad, so let me clean it up. I see people do like charity. They do fundraisers for major organizations who need it. Don't get me wrong, they need it. And they might add a guy who raised $300 for one of the larger cancer hospitals, St. Jude's. Yeah, St. Jude's. It was like $300 for St. Jude's, and he made a donation. And I said that was amazing. He said, yeah. I said, but and this is a good friend, so I wouldn't. Whatever. I'm just gonna talk. I go, how cool would that have been if you locally found somebody you knew with cancer? I'm sure you're affected by it, and maybe you bought them pizza or took them to dinner, or you purposely touch the people in your area. Don't think grandiose. Just the people around you. I'm sure there's somebody down the street. There's a neighbor, somebody at your church, somebody at school, a teacher, somebody on your Facebook feed. For me, let's trickle it down. Mind you, the Bill Gates, and we still need research. We still need bigger things. Don't get me wrong, and those are great. But for me, it's always, let's look around and see what we can find individually. Let's see what our own skills are. If you're a baker, go do a bake sale and raise money for maybe the local football team. Or if you're a dancer, go teach dance classes somewhere. And I think people think way too big versus just doing what you're good at. Whether it be, I'm funny, I use social media. That was my wave. I'm not out here trying to, I don't know, make murals around the city. That's not my go-to. But me individually, I know what I'm good at. I know I'm silly. I'm gonna tell some knock-knock jokes. I'm gonna give a high five. Just figure it out within yourself, but make it fun. My license plate literally is FUN, fun. If rape becomes not fun for me, I'm telling you now, I'm done.
And what I'd say is, since this is a football podcast, to bring it all full circle, if you're Baker Mayfield, throw fewer interceptions, stay in the pocket.
Ricky, we'll be on.
Crickets.
Man,
I know
I
what you're trying to do, but Ricky, I know we got to wrap this up soon, but do me a favor. Act like you're not a Browns fan, and then tell me what you would think about Baker Mayfield.
Can I be really honest with you guys? I got in trouble because I have a podcast of my own, and they actually told me I couldn't say it. I wasn't a fan last year. I wasn't a fan after. Here's my thing, man. I'm old school in the degree, work hard. My dad again, my dad's a quote, if no one else has done it, probably shouldn't do it. I'm going to ask you guys a question. You guys are football guys. name me, besides your name, is in the last 30 years the most cocky, winning NFL quarterback.
Wow. Jim
Come
McMahon,
on.
maybe? I don't know.
How many years? What was he great or was the defense great?
That's a fair point.
Yeah, for me, it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is just grates on my nerves.
But he's not in your face. But I give you maybe, but he won one. But my point is, that doesn't work. So all the in your face, the bravado, the calling out people, like I didn't like it. I didn't like it when we were all excited last year, and I really wish I wasn't correct. So, Steve, to go with you, no, I'll say it as a Browns fan. I wasn't a fan when everybody was on board. I didn't like the commercial. I didn't like that. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't like it then. And I thought it was things that he should have been doing and not throwing under buses and this and that. Like, I didn't like it last year this time. I really didn't. Because, again, it was like, you gotta play, man. This league, they coming for you. They got tape on you. You came in halfway through, Tyrod Taylor was the starter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Frog, once that tape come on you and they know you tapped the ball 2 times or you roll this way, you roll that way, and you're already short. You're already, at a disadvantage. Nah, like I wasn't, this is as a Browns fan, I wasn't sold.
Yeah, I got to say, when he first came in, and I'm not going to spend long on this, guys. Kitchen Frog, I know you're nervous right now. I promise I'll stop quickly. I admired the swagger when they brought him. I think it was the Jets game, maybe. He came in at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, like you said before, I can identify the 90s Bengals losing franchise. Sometimes you like that swagger. But I'll tell you when the worm turned with me, man, the way he treated Hugh Jackson after Hugh Jackson was fired when they beat the Bengals in Cincinnati. I'm taking my fanhood out of this. From one human being to the other, you don't need to rub it in the man's face that played a large role in you being drafted number 1 overall after he had been fired from your team because he jumped on as an assistant with another team. That told me a lot about Baker as a guy that, I kind of turned the switch off at that point. So I do hate a lot.
Yeah. But even then, to me, your quarterback is your leader. And I know it's cheesy to say it's a quarterback, but that's your leader. Like, to me, if your leader isn't leading, then how do you expect the huddle? How do you expect the cadences? How do you expect the practices? And for me, and I know, again, it's unconventional coming from a huge Browns fan, but I live, believe it or not, I live with a chip on my shoulder, even with Rick. Even everything I do is sports. The whole Jordan thing is so great to watch because, mind you, we knew at the time as little things came out, but Jordan was A-level, just you never heard it. So it's like, Baker, we get it. Like, you've always been an underdog, but just do it within yourself. Tell your friends, tell your family. Just you don't need to be going back and forth with the radio guy. Like, I didn't even like that.
Tony Aaron Goldhammer, all those people.
No. The national guy on Fox 1.
Colt Cowherd.
Cowherd, yeah. Just let him talk. Why are you going back and forth with him and tweeting with this person that? Like, just again. I'm gonna give you one more thing, and I'm done with my dad. We're gonna wrap it up. Best quote my dad has ever given me. They killed Jesus, and he turned water into wine. So people don't care about you. This man literally could go to a party, and if I didn't even like Jesus back in the day in high school, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna hang around Jesus because he gonna get the party started. And they still killed him. So everybody's looking for that string, whatever. Like, don't give them more stuff than they need. Like, bro, just relax, man. Relax, chill. Oh, y'all got me worked up. I'm hot.
All right, Ricky, one last football question. Is your offensive line fixed? And with a new coach, are you guys ready to take that next step and be a playoff team this year?
Can I ask you guys a question? Because this is my birthday and it's whatever. Do you guys just want to talk about Rick? You guys didn't think I was going to do this football thing, did you?
We're good with talking about anything, man. This is how we are. We just talk about anything.
You guys didn't.
I'm going to be honest. No, yeah. I was surprised. I was fully prepared for us to sit around waiting for you not to jump on. And I think we would have respected it, man. You are bringing the fire.
My favorite game, because I'm going to throw it back to you and I'm going to answer your question, is the Bengals versus 49ers. Like, those 49ers teams were my squad with Roger Craig and John Taylor. And no, I love sports.
Hey, man, I've got a question that'll make you smile, Frog, too. Let's talk about the Bernie versus Ben. I'm going to shut up after this, guys. I'm done. No more questions. Who is your favorite player on those Brown squads that would play the Bengals? Bernie versus Boomer, when you had Webster Slaughter, Eric Metcalf.
Right there. Webster Slaughter. Slaughter. I can't do that. I can't, because I love Clay Matthews.
You want me to share mine, Rick?
I mean, I can go to Herman Fontenot. Like, I can go fourth, like Brian Brenham across the middle. That third down, you knew he was going to get the yardage. I could go,
I was Ozzie. Like, I was Ozzie Newsome.
Ozzie was great.
Ozzie
was great. Ozzie was great. Even Don Kroc, the backup quarterbacks. Like, don't get me started. Like, but John Kitchens, go back to you. You never know. All on paper, you never know. At the end of the day, it's still a rookie coach. I don't care what anybody says. End of the day, we might be too talented. I don't know if you guys, the analogy of the Lakers team that had Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, I think Steve Nash. Like, they had like all these. I think Shaq was gone, but they had all these guys. Like, to me, you need glue guys. And to me, I still like the old school. I think we need a 6'6", 6'5", 6'4" wide receiver. Odell's great, Landry's great, but I still need a guy that's going to go give you that slant. I still feel like our linebackers are easily the worst in the league. We don't have linebackers. The line, like I said, I don't know. I know it's a lot. Here's the thing. What we're learning about, we already knew about, the Bulls with Phil Jackson, but you gotta. It's not just coaching these days. You gotta be psychiatrist. You gotta be a janitor. You gotta be a teacher. You gotta be, you gotta bring men together. You gotta make that happen. That's why Andy Reid's winning of the Super Bowl was so great, because everybody, whether you were a Bengals fan, whether you were an opposing team, everybody loved that Andy Reid got one. And you guys know you gotta win. You gotta win them over quick. You can walk in a room and be like, all right, look at this guy's shoes. He don't respect me. Now I'm out. And the window's small. And just looking at the AFC, man, like, not even the AFC, it's some great teams. I think the parity of NFLs, to be honest with you guys, like, I used to be basketball was number one, way up there, then football, then baseball. In the last 5 years, football is number one for me because of the teams and the parity. Like, next season, we don't know. You can never count the Patriots out. Even Tom Brady gone, I'm still not counting them out. I'm not. They might have a trick up their sleeve, even though they're trying to tank or whatever they're trying to do. You got the Ravens. You got the Bengals, who are even no, you're not the Bengals. You have 49ers. You got Seattle. You can't count them out. You got the Colts. I've always been a Phillip Rivers fan. You got the Colts. They got a small window, but you have, of course, the Chiefs. It's so many, man. But that's the fun. It's the biggest reality show. So to answer your question, on paper, yeah, but I'll tell you this, and I'm gonna be quiet and we can wrap up on this one. To me, the Browns and analytics are literally just missing leadership and locker room togetherness.
Yeah.
I don't see a vet on that team. I don't see – Christian Kirksey's a really good friend of mine. He's no longer with the Browns. He would tell me after every game, Rick, I'm the oldest guy on this team. And to me, that's rough, especially for a rookie coach.
It's interesting, Ricky, talking to Frog, and Frog was on the staff with Chris Ballard and knows Chris. He said it's about culture. He is going to go in there and he's going to establish the right culture. And you just seen it. I mean, Frog, you told me that 4 years ago when he got the job. You're like, look, he's going to have a good locker room. That's for sure. And that's what every single pick has been about. Every single player's been about. And it's a difference maker.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's analytics and this and that. At the end of the day, like you just said with those Brown teams, those Bengals teams, even the Colts team. Like, what's my man that came? You had the cornerback, the safety, Bob Sanders.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Like, it was one of those guys just come in, like, they know their roles. And, like, being old school football guys, we know the importance. I mean, say what you want about Mahomes. Mahomes is not he's a throwback. He's an old school veteran, like, he's that guy. Like, and those are the things, again, not the badge Baker, but like you need that element of any winning team, any winning culture. You need that. Even the running back the Chiefs had, he the vet.
Shady? Are you talking about when Shady got picked up
Yeah,
later on? Or?
Shady.
Yeah.
Like you have those guys that you can lean on. Like when you look in the huddle and things are down or whatever, it's like, who are you looking to? Who is the calm guy? And if you've never been there, how could you even? It's not even their fault. How could you? How could you even begin to know what the experience if you've never been there?
I'll say this to like put a bow on it all, and it's funny how it all intertwines as far as people and football is. If your best player is your biggest servant, if your head coach is also a servant, then you can reach unprecedented levels. And I've been fortunate enough to be a part of where leadership was a servant, whether it was the players when we had success or the head coach under Jim Trussell, and then the year that we had with Lovie Smith. Mm-hmm. And that is what we're looking forward to as Northeast Ohioans, is maybe we can find that some of our best players will be servants, or they'll get it the direction from the people up top this year as we have a new regime.
That's literally, I mean, to tie it all in and the conversation you guys wanted me to talk about exclusively, but that's how I feel with Rake, with my nonprofit. I'm a TV writer. I'm not in a position I was 6 years ago. I'm doing okay. But no, I'm still going to do the same things I did 6 years ago. I'm still going to hand out pizza. And if I'm not the same guy on the front lines trying to help people and show kindness, for me as a yin and yang to my writing as well as whatever. But I tell my volunteers, you're not going to see me not making a sandwich. You're not going to see me not, doing the same things I did before. And hopefully, like you said, I'm not just going to tell you. I have to show you. And whether you like me or don't like me, but at least you respect the fact that, hey, this guy is trying to make a difference. That's all we can try to do. Yeah, we're not going to settle. Like, a girl hit me up a couple weeks ago. She goes, "You still doing that kindness thing?" Well, the world isn't perfect yet. Like, you know what? I'm still helping. Yeah, I can't wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm done. No more sandwich to homeless. I'm over it. Time to be selfish. Like, no, like it's like you in football and us in sports and your friendships. Like at the end of the day, man, we are who we are. It's our DNA. Either you're a leader or you're not a leader. And that's a whole other story. I would love to once the football season, I'm inviting myself back on. I love talking football. Like I love talking sports. I don't get to do it that much because I don't really value a lot of people's intelligence when it comes to football. A lot of my friends are football people, ESPN. A lot of football players are my friends. But the common guy that's drinking a beer with me at a bar that's talking about this, I'm like, I'm at that period where my favorite line in the world is, let's agree to disagree. And I'm like this, you got it.